mid-20s. I had my second child, and I died. I went to heaven. All of a sudden, I wasn't there anymore, and I saw the most beautiful glow. I heard the most beautiful music, and I was reaching. And this voice came and said, "You must go back. There's things you must do." And as I was looking down, I saw all my friends holding this baby that weighed 12 pounds, and I'd only weighed 89 pounds, and I couldn't deliver him. And they were crying, wondering how they were going to tell my family that I had died. And all of a sudden, I was on the table and said, "Can I hold my baby?" And they started screaming. I worked on that floor, and I knew all the nurses, and they said, "We did CPR on you for 10 minutes, and you were dead." But God sent me back for a reason, and he's still making me work. I'm 77 years old, and he's not letting me quit yet. So anyway, so we've been doing mission trips for over 20 years. We went to Guatemala, Bob went to Cuba, and we went to Peru, and then I never wanted to go to the Dominican because I thought it was a commercial tourist trap, and I was wrong. And we were all set to go to the Amazon, and there was an accident, and we couldn't go because you couldn't go without the right people. And they said, "Well, we've been trying to get you to go to the Dominican. Why don't you go?" And I said, "Well, I'll go, but I want to go where I can get down and get dirty. I don't want to go stay in some stupid resort. I want to work with the people." Well, I found out how to work with the people in the Dominican. And so we went and we started LyfeAid. And so our reason is we present the gospel, we provide teaching and encouragement, we give medicine and consultants, and at each clinic, Bob gives a message. And we go to villages where there aren't any doctors. We go up into the mountains. We do a few local places, but we go up into mountains and places where there aren't any doctors, and pastors are trying to get churches started in those villages, and there might be only 10 or 15 people going to a church there. A lot of them are a lot of Haitian villages, and a lot of them still practice voodoo and that kind of stuff. It's even cannibalism is still practiced. And so we go to those villages, and Bob gives a message. Well, they tell us within a year, other than 10 or 15 people going, because everybody can come to the clinics, they might have 500 people going to the church. And then people, there's a group goes down, a couple groups go down, and they build a big building in, it's probably as big as this building, in those communities, and it becomes a school as well as a church. And that's what's happening. And they told us last time we were there that over 15,000 people have come to Christ through our mission. So we land, that's where we land, where the blue arrow is, but we go all through the mountains. And Robert and Judy are our leaders down there. They set everything up, and we travel on that truck. And we've, up until this year, we've sent sea containers every year. When we first went to the Dominican, when we went to those villages, people were totally naked. They didn't have anything. They laid down in the dirt, and things are very, somebody this morning mentioned that they thought there was money in the Dominican. Well, things are very expensive in the Dominican. If you go to the local grocery store, to buy a loaf of bread is over $4 US. A box of cereal is over $9. They earn about $60 a month, and they have to pay, if they stay in a village and lay down in the dirt, they still have to pay $25 to stay there. The government takes money. If they have a tarp or something over them, it's about $40. If they have any boards up, it's $60, and it just keeps going up. So it's not the way people think it is. And so this is some of the stuff that we sent. A few years ago, somebody called me out of the blue and said that they had 27 dialysis machines. And they had gotten them ready, I think, for World Vision, but they couldn't take them because they weren't brand new, but they were all serviced. And they wondered if I could use them. I'll take anything. So I took 27 dialysis machines, and that same day, a note came to us from the Dominican to pray that they were praying for dialysis machines because they didn't have any. And I had 27. And then I got a call the next day from a facility, better not say where. They had 14 pallets of dialysis equipment because they had upgraded their machines and this stuff didn't work with those machines anymore. And I got 14 pallets. And when I was there last year, those dialysis machines are still being used and still working. They were divided amongst a whole lot of different hospitals. We also sent hospital beds. I gather everything I can get my hands on, but right now, we haven't been able, after this year, we haven't been able to send a container because it costs $5,000 to get the container out of the port in St. John. It costs $5,000 to get the container out of the port down in the Dominican, and then you got to pay for trucks to deliver this stuff. Before, it was only a couple $1,000s, so things have gone way crazy. That's just a few of the things. And that's our stuff when it got there. This is the condition in the hospitals, and we sent a lot of hospital beds down there, and it's really sad down there. You might go to the hospital, but you don't have any medication unless you pay for it, and medication is very expensive. How much did you say?
It was $6 the time that we were there.
For an aspirin. For an aspirin was $6 US for one aspirin. People have no money, and so people can go to the hospital and lay in the bed, but they die because they have nothing. Those people that you see in that picture, this makes me cry, but what happens is the family go and they actually prostitute to get enough money to pay for the pill that that person might need. That's what was happening down there. So we adopted, Robert and Judy set us up in the clinics that we go to. They set us up where we're most needed. And they never told us much about themselves. The last day that we were there, the first year, we went to Robert and Judy's village, and it changed my life forever. Because when we walked through the village, there was these things about this big drying, made of clay, drying in the sun. And I thought they didn't have any toys or anything after we'd done the clinic. There's nothing there. And I thought, isn't that nice? They're making a game. Well, you know what it was? It was clay cookies. There was no food in the village, and they were eating clay cookies. And so everybody was getting chagas and dying very fast in that village because they were eating clay cookies. So we get home, and you can keep going. And this is some of the better houses in the village. And there might be 10 or 15 people living under one of those roofs. And this little boy, he came and he wanted me, this was just last year, I think. He wanted me to come and see his new house. And I thought, where are we going? We started running down across this big field, and we got to this stuff, and he jumped behind it and laid down and stuck his face out. He had found those broken desks somewhere and that old piece of tarp, and that was what he considered his new house. And so he wanted me to see his new house. So these are things that have taken us to the Dominican. The Samaritan Foundation has been building homes. They build 20 homes in villages down there. And it's sort of like, I don't know what they call it, a lottery, but they just draw names of who's actually going to get the house. They don't know who they're building for, but they go and build 20 homes. We had tried to buy a piece of land to build this proper school down there. And we got to know them, and in a few minutes you'll see the picture. They decided that they were going to get the land. The government wanted $3 million for 3 acres of land for us to pay $3 million, and so obviously we couldn't. And you'll see the condition that they were in for the schools there. And anyway, Samaritan Foundation offered them that they would build 20 homes in the village if they could have the piece of land we wanted, and then they, in the end, built the school for us. But this is the conditions they live under. There was only one toilet in the whole village, and that was it. So if we had to go to the bathroom, that's where you went. That's the local store, so you imagine there's not too much for sale in that building. Now, when Robert and Judy went to that village, they started a school, and that was their first school. That looks pretty good in a way, but it wasn't. There was no floor when they started, and teachers would draw in the dirt because they didn't have any paper, they didn't have pencils or pens or anything. And when we were there, it was raining and the water was pouring right down through the roof over all of us. So that's just a little bit of a picture. Then we upgraded, we got them moved into a second building. Then we got moved into another building. And then these are the buildings that Samaritan Foundation built for us, those 3 schools. And there was only one big building built. And a man from Ontario went down and said, how come the little kids are going to school in the morning, big kids are going to school in the afternoon? And they said, well, they're not allowed to have the kids in the same building at the same time. This guy from Ontario built the second building out of his own money. So those are our schools now. So we went from drawing in the dirt to that. The kids were actually collecting gum wrappers and cigarette papers and all that kind of stuff to draw on because there was nothing. And we got desks for the kids, and the military gave us blankets for the kids. Those kids were prostitutes, and they were rescued and they come to our school. And what was very sad the first year that we found out at our clinic, the first year, there was lots of others, but there was 27 children under 12 pregnant at the first clinic that we ever did at that school. And we found out that there was no food, and the kids were being prostituted with our tourists as young as 3 years old for a piece of bread or a sucker because they were so hungry. So we started a feeding program there, and now the kids are being fed every day. They have to go to school. When they're sponsored, parents don't get the money. The money goes to the school, and the kids are being fed. This little girl was 11. She was pregnant. And the kids had to have uniforms. After we got the school going, then the government stepped in and said, well, you can't run a school without uniforms. So a group from out west helped to raise the money to buy uniforms for the school. So those are our kids. And so those kids, the first year we were there, everybody was naked. Now they have a building to go in, they have a place to be fed, and they have clothes. And this is our first sponsored, this is our sponsored child. And I'll tell you her story. It's hard. When she was 3 years old, when we sponsored her, we went back down, she was still 3, and she was laying in the dirt like everybody else in the rain. They had no shelter of any kind. And we had given her a little dress, and we'd given her a piece of a suitcase to lay down in to stay out of the mud as much as she could. So when we got there the next year, Bob asked, my husband loves kids. We had 5 of our own and 5 foster kids. I don't know where they all came from, but anyway, Bob asked for Tatiana as soon as we got there, and we had a whole suitcase of shoes every size, clothes every size, some blankets, and some toys, something we could give her, and then what she didn't need we would give to other children. So Bob asked for Tatiana, and she was brought to Bob, and when she got there, she had the little dress on that we had given her. And Bob started ripping stuff out of the suitcase and was handing her stuff. And she started shaking. And she started, the tears were flowing. And she started going like that. And she wouldn't take anything. And I said to Robert, what's wrong with Tatiana? She won't take anything. And he didn't want to tell me. And I said, I need to know what's wrong with her. When Bob asked for Tatiana, her parents thought that he was asking for her for sex. And they put her in the dress, and they sent her at 3 years old to Bob. So that's where we got our sponsorship really going. We thought, this cannot happen anymore. So the first year there was 27. Last year there was only one little girl that was pregnant in the whole village, and she had just come to the village. So a school has made a big difference, and the church has made a big difference in the school. This is some of the meals they get. So they went from clay cookies to that. So this is how we get around. Sometimes the roads aren't too hot where we go. And sometimes they're even worse than that. One time when I first went to the Dominican, thank you, I told everybody I wanted to go where I'd get down and get dirty. Well, I did. I fell off the truck on one of those hills like that and slid the whole way down. My hair was clear down my back. And by the time I got to the bottom, it probably weighed 10 pounds because I was totally full of mud. So I keep getting rubbed in all the time. Well, you get down and get dirty, didn't you? And this is at our clinic. This doctor over here that's waiting is Dr. Ronnie, and he's the one who orders our medications. We were trying to buy a lot of medications here, but he's able to get it in the Dominican cheaper. And when we were sending it on the sea container, people from the port were stealing a lot of our medications. So this way we know what we've got. And this is people waiting for the clinic, and these people all have clothes, and they might look pretty good, but most of the clothes that they have on may be the only outfit that they have, and it's probably one that we gave them. So there's a job for everybody at the clinic. I always tell everybody, if you're walking and talking and breathing, I can find you a job. If you die down there, funeral's only $75, I'll pay for it and save your money for all your family. They got it to spend. But there's jobs for everybody at the clinic. We have to do their height and weight. And we have a lot of pills to count. And Bob does messages, so some people come and talk about the Lord to different ones. And this is people waiting. Now here we get shovey. They'll sit there all day without a drink, without anything, to actually come to the clinic. And anybody is welcome. It doesn't matter who they are. They give us the best building in the village, and some of them are, well, last year, 2 years ago, I almost knocked the building down. They had built a church, and it had a thatched roof, and a dead tree was holding the roof up. I went and leaned on the tree, and the whole building started to fall over. And I screamed, and men came running and pushed it back up. But since then, we were back there last year, and the pastor said, Sandra, can you knock this one down? He had a beautiful building, 2 stories like this. And I didn't realize it was the same village. And I said, I don't think I can knock this down. Well, he said, well, you tried to knock our church down last year. But so many people became Christians that people from Canada came down and built us this church. So you couldn't knock it down. So all those cases that you see are solid full of drugs. We take them every day. And while we're at the clinics, people fit people with clothes, whatever we have. And Jamie, we can't keep the babies away from Jamie. And we even do house calls. This lady that's there, her daughter was in the grocery store on her knees crying with $1 to try buy some medicine for her. And they wouldn't give her even one Tylenol for $1. And she was crying because her mom was so sick. And when I realized what was going on, I said, come with me. So I took her out to the truck, and I said to Ronnie, get off the bus, Ronnie. You got to go find out where she is and what's going on. So our doctors went and looked after her, and we provided her with the medicine that she needed. And this is just some of the things that we see. These 2 boys were both had a disease where neither one of them could walk. So when they needed to go anywhere, they were naked, and they just dragged them by their arms or neck or anything through the dirt and everything, and everything was sore on them because they were just dragging them everywhere. So God had given us a couple wheelchairs, and we gave them a couple wheelchairs. So this is one of the better clinics. That's one of the best buildings in the village. We get a lot of rain down there. And this little guy, that's his first picture. And that was after we got a surgery done. We have connections to the hospital, one of the hospitals there where people from the States, doctors from the States come. And it's about a 6-hour drive away, but if we have things that we need done, we just have to pay for somebody to take them up there, and the doctors fix them for us. So he got fixed too. And this is just pictures at our clinic. And see what's inside of those containers, it's all drugs. And we do get a lot of things like crutches and canes and things like that donated, and we take everything that we can get. This year, like I said, it's going to be harder after this year because of the sea containers, unless we can figure out some other way to get stuff down there. Somebody donated us a lot of little shoes, and kids get them. Now, those 2 pictures are 2 different people's prescriptions, so we don't just give them a Tylenol, we give them what they need. And the doctors down there tell us that we have stuff here that's chronic. But from the time a baby's born in Canada, they're given pills. You're giving them vitamins, you're giving them stuff all the time. Down there, they don't have any medication, so a lot of things that we have maybe for the rest of our life can actually be cured down there because they haven't had anything to take. And so a lot of things they're able to cure if they have enough medication for a few months. So we treat them with whatever they need. This is us. And just more pictures of our clinics. That's our doctor that keeps us going. And see, there's a job for everybody. Everybody that comes, we see sometimes 500 people in one day, and they might have 10 prescriptions. Well, all those pills have got to be counted. So if you can count to 30, you can get a job with me because you can sit and count pills all day. There's always something for people to do. That little girl on this side got those shoes. She didn't have any shoes, and she's all excited because she got shoes. Some of the ladies in the Christian Church make pads and diapers for us, and they make pads for women as well because people have nothing, no products down there. What was about 4 years ago, I was in Walmart one day, and they had panties for 25 cents a pair. And they had a whole shopping cart full of them. So I grabbed them and started for the checkout, and I heard rumble, 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 and there was another cart coming with another bunch of them. So I said to my husband, you go pay for those, and I'm going to grab the rest of them. So I went back and grabbed all these panties, and when I got to the checkout, this woman was looking at my husband, and she said, I'd like to know what a man like you is doing with all this women's underwear. But the women need the underwear. So anyway, we explained it, and then she was all red in the face. And hearing aids. It's exciting. Hearing aids and glasses, it's exciting. There's a little girl, I think that you're going to see a picture of her, but I fit her, I think about 4 years ago with a hearing aid, and she was about 10 or 11. And we buy all the batteries that we can get our hands on at Costco before we go. And we give them a package, but we tell them you only use the hearing aid when you need it. You can't wear it all the time every day because your batteries will go dead and then it won't be any good. So we try to teach them, just use it when you really need it. So it's been about it's just the year before COVID, and then last year I went to this village, and this girl came screaming. She was around a pond, and she was screaming, Sandra, Sandra, Sandra. And I thought, who is that? And she's going like this the whole time. She had her hearing aid, and it was still working. And she had made it last almost 4 years. She had kept her battery stretched out. So one of the hearing aid companies had given me a brand new one that would actually fit in your ear, and I traded her. And then I made her cry. But anyway, and this year they brought me a little 4-year-old girl, and she'd never heard a sound in her life. And her mother's laying in the mud in the rain, crying, begging me to make her hear. And Bob comes up and says, what are we going to do about this? He said, well, we're going home tomorrow, and it's our payday, so we'll send some money back down and get somebody to take her where somebody can actually fix her. But her mother wouldn't stop crying. So anyway, I picked up a shirt for her, and hearing aid hit the floor. I stuck it in her ear, and she scared me half to death. I thought she was having a seizure. She's going like this. Her head's going everywhere. Anyway, she had never heard a sound. 5 years old. She'd never heard anybody say words to her. She couldn't speak, and she didn't know any words that you told her because she'd never heard words before. So we thought, boy, your mom's going to have a hard time with you. She might take that away from you again. But she could actually hear for the first time. So miracles happen. And at the clinic, sometimes we'll draw pictures of stuff with the kids. And shagus is a big thing down there. It's a big problem, and it comes from the dirt, eating dirt. If you go with me, and you're all welcome to come. Before you go home, I give you one of the happy pills just in case you ate something that had dirt on it. You get shagus, so you won't know. But shagus, if you get shagus, tomorrow you think, I don't want to go to work, I don't feel too hot. And then for the next few months, you'll be okay. But then all of a sudden, you look like you got bruises all over your body, like her legs. That's a pastor's daughter. And when that happens, it's gone into your bloodstream, and then it goes right into your lungs, and it only takes just a few weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. And that's the end, that you can't breathe and it kills you. And my pill costs less than $1 to cure that, and they don't have $1. And so we treat an awful lot of people for Chagas, and they get better. And that pastor's daughter, that was a pastor's daughter that worked with us, and he didn't have $1 for his own child. This little boy we found naked on the street, and we put some clothes on him. This is our toy table, so anybody that's bored or tired, like our two ladies fell asleep on me, packing pills, but they can pack toys. So there's a job for everybody, and you can even have a nap. I'll let you nap for a little while. And this is our doctors and people who work with us down there. And this is some of the stuff we see. And so somebody has given me, I need more people to go because I got a few suitcases full of shoes and I can't get them down there unless somebody goes and takes the suitcase. So we need lots of people to go. And so we pass out diapers and pads and panties and blankets to people who are in need. So we have quite a bit of stuff. And that little girl had never seen a skipping rope before that she could actually have, and so they were swinging it for her to try. She was so excited. And the ladies in Crispam, they knit me and crochet hats, because when you don't have anything and you're cold, a hat keeps your body warm for some reason, and they love hats down there. So they made me quite a few hats. And hearing aids, we fit as many people as hearing aids, probably, I don't know how many it says on this, but some years I've probably fit 200 or 300 people with hearing aids. And we also fit people, that's the hats. And we fit people with glasses as well. And we probably fit, I think last year I fit about 1,700 people with glasses. And one man was really neat. He sat all day like this, and he had a little baby beside him, about 8 or 9 months old, and his son, and he couldn't see. And his son kept telling me he needed glasses. And it must have been three years ago, because I had my own cataracts done. I don't need glasses anymore, but he kept coming and wanted glasses, and I kept trying everything, and I even tried my own glasses on, and he just sat there and rocked all day. And then I picked up something for him, and a pair of glasses, must have been 100 years old, fell on the floor. And I just went over, he's rocking away, and I slid those on his face, and he scared me half to death. He screamed, and he jumped up, and he grabbed me, and I'm not very little. He swung me the whole way around the building. He just kept swinging me and screaming. And then he ran out in the yard screaming. And then he come back in, and he picked that little child up and held him up. And he cried. He had never been able to see his family for years, and he could see with my old glasses. And we have we hire a dentist as well. We had a 96-year-old that never seen a dentist in her life, and all we can do is extractions, but the dentist, I own a lot of dental tools for extraction down there, and the dentist does a lot of extractions every day. This lady, when she got glasses, this was very interesting, as you can see. When she got glasses, she opened her Bible. We give Bibles to everybody that we can as well. And she just dropped to her knees and gave her life to the Lord because she read that verse. I once was blind, but now I see. And that was with her glasses. And that's, like I said, if anybody goes with me, don't plan on bringing your suitcase back because it's a bed for some child. And that's the girl that was screaming about her hearing aid. And that's just a few of the glasses. So what we do with the glasses, we try on a pair, and they're excited. But we take that pair back and we try another pair on, which is the best. And we keep going down through them and we have a chart, and we try to get them to get the very best pair that they can get. Even kids need glasses. Also, when we're there, we spend the day at the jail. So everybody says, you going to jail, Sandra? Yep, I'm going to jail. There's about 600 men in that jail, and a lot of them are Canadians and Americans. And some of them have been there 10 or 15 years and haven't gone to trial yet. There's nothing there for them. They give them a few cookies, or, well, I call them cookies. Their food is looks like a cookie, but it's something dried out. But the government sets them up because drugs are cheap in the Dominican. So some people go down to buy drugs or even have the children, and the government watches you take money out of the bank. And then if they can catch you buying some drugs, they'll arrest you. You might just buy a pill or something, but they arrest people, and then they want like $500,000 or something to get you to go to trial. So a lot of people have been there for years and haven't been able to go to trial yet. So we're trying to work with the people at the jail as well, but we also give them medication they need, hearing aids, glasses, or whatever they need as well. And that's at the jail. And one color shirt, and I never get it right, one color shirt, they've been to trial, and the other color shirt hasn't been to trial. But they're happy because we care. And that's the most important thing. And like I said, they told us there's about 15,000 people have come to Christ through this mission. Churches are being built all over the place through the mission that we're having. So if anybody wants to go, I'll just tell you the price. For my husband and I, for 3 weeks, for everything, it was $3,778. That's for our flight and our resort and everything. The flights down was, let me see, it was about $710. We're flying out of Halifax each. And then our accommodations are about $1,000 a piece for our 3 weeks that we're going this year. So it's not really that bad. And God has a plan for you. You may go, and we really need people to go. We've had as many as 40 people go. This year, I think so far, Jamie and I were trying to count it up. We've only got about 14 maybe so far this year. It's been harder to raise the money, so we aren't able to go as long as we'd like to go. So we booked this year for 3 weeks. Some people just go for 1, some people 2, some people go for all 3. And the airport is very close to where we stay, and if people come for a week that they don't go the same week we do, then Robert just meets you at the airport and takes you to the resort, and then we meet you at supper time when we come back. But it's been very, very rewarding. I have a few flyers out here. Now, my husband tried to change from Rogers to Bell, and they messed up our phone a week or so ago. We don't even know what our phone's going to be, so the phone number on there is the one that's done with the printer won't work right now. On some of them I crossed it out and wrote what's working right now, but my husband's trying to get them to go back to the original number. But Kevin will have the number if you ever want to call. The email works. If anybody does want to donate anything, you can e-transfer, and that address is on there. But we just really appreciate that people are interested. It is a really good work down there, and it's not, the people that live down there do not make very much money. And I always tell people, if you give them a tip, don't leave it in the room. Shake hands and give it to them, because they probably won't get to keep it if you leave it in the room. But a lot of people are coming to Christ through this mission. So God kept me alive, I guess, to do that. I don't know when he's going to let me stop, but I'm still going. So does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Are you and your husband sent out by a local church?
No. My husband and I went on the first mission. We were traveling with another group, and the first time we went to the Dominican, we went with another group, and when we were down there, that group said, you and Bob should be doing your own mission. And we thought, well, we'll try. So LyfeAid we started LyfeAid. It's our mission. My husband and I started it. And one of my kids named it, because we had to come up with a name, and one of the kids named it LyfeAid. And so we started this mission ourselves, because they thought that they were going to places, but they said, you and Sandra could do, to my husband, they said, you and Sandra can do your own stuff and go in other directions, so we'd have more people going at the same, going other places. So that's how we ended up starting it there.
Thank you. And a quick question. When the children, with regard to all the salvations that have happened since 2007, over 15,000, you were saying, is
Oh, yes, and everywhere we go, there's a pastor trying to start a church. And, well, cannibalism is still even real. Like one of the guys who was in our school from Haiti, he was brought by his mother and left on the street when he was 4 years old. And he was going to our school, and we met him when he was about 6 or so, and he was going to school all the time that we were there. Anyway, the reason that he was brought there is when he was 4, he was forced to watch his grandmother, who was one of the biggest witches in Haiti, eat his older brother alive, and he was to be next. And they tell us that that stuff still happens. So pastors are trying to get churches going in these villages, and when they also become a school. So the kids are taught at school, and adults are taught at the church, and the building is used as a church and a school. So it's a school during the day, and they have church pretty much every day, every night, I think, in their churches down there. So the churches are really growing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes.
I know the problem you have with seeing containers out of St. John, but if we had like hearing aids and glasses,
Yes.
are you able to take them down, like if we were to?
We take all that kind of stuff right with us. Yeah.
Do you think we got ability to bring like boxing here? Would you be able to get it down to them?
That was a plan, yeah, I had thoughts.
Yeah, Kevin's gonna bring some stuff down for Bob that he borrowed or whatever, and so if anybody has, we want all the hearing aids and anything that we can get like that, we certainly want. And, if you give them to Kevin, he'll get them to us, and if Bob has to, he'll come up and get them. Anybody else? Well, thank you for having me. I hope I gave you enough information. My head's so full of information, I tried to just pick out some of it. But anyway, thank you.